Well, I was asking if you had the dog in the bed because we know kids go through different phases, and sometimes they sleep with a stuffed animal. My kids, had a couple of them had the stuffed animal things, or like a snuggle blanket or something like that. And a new poll asked that if people it just asked adults if they regularly sleep with a stuffed animal, and 23% said yes.
Uh-oh.
Wow.
72% said no. 4% aren't sure.
I don't know what's in here.
I don't know if that animal's real or stuffed.
Right.
I don't know.
I didn't ask.
Does this potato count
Okay.
as a stuffed animal?
I don't know when I'm sleeping. You may think this is heavily skewed towards women. Not the case.
Okay.
22% of men say that they have regularly slept with stuffed animals as an adult, while 25% of women say the same.
Do they understand what they mean by the slept with?
Yeah.
Because I can see the men having a different version of what slept with was.
Now, this could be a more recent phenomenon. 35% of people between the ages of 18 and 44 admit to it. But that number drops to 14% for Gen X and 6% for boomers. Unfortunately, they didn't ask how many adults are currently sleeping with a stuffed animal, but a poll from earlier this year found that 42% of people sleep with stuffed animals at least occasionally. 45% of people say they slept with a stuffed animal as a child, and most people don't see a problem with it. 8% of people think it's harmful for kids or anybody to sleep with stuffed animals.
Harmful?
I don't think I did.
Isn't it a pillow? Basically just a pillow in the shape of a teddy bear?
Yeah, pretty much. But I think when it comes to the harmful thing, people are washing their pillowcases. They're not always washing the teddy bears.
Yeah, good call.
And maybe like suffocation, like if it's like a more flat type of, floofy stuffed animal. Maybe if you got a little kid, they could suffocate. I don't know. I would like carry the babies to bed, you know what I'm saying, whenever I was a little kid. But then I'd always kick them out of the bed. Like, it never was something I needed to have.
Yeah.
My sister, though, I remember she had, or my cousin, she had Favorite Baby. That's what this thing was called.
Wow.
And so Favorite Baby had to go everywhere with my cousin Courtney, to the point where Favorite Baby was looking like a freaking Rob Zombie like character, like no eye, like hair's half gone because she cut it. Like, so, but no, I always had blankets, but never like a blankie. You know what I'm saying? So, but that's cool. Whatever gets you through the night.
Well, I told you I have a whole bunch of lists. And speaking of things when we were kids, everybody can probably think of something that they believed when they were a kid that turned out to be way off base.
Okay.
And then it was, like a memorable revelation when you realize, like, the truth. We were talking about this a couple weeks ago. There's a thread online where people are sharing some of the dumb stuff that they believed, and here are a few of the highlights. Number one, that songs played on the radio were being played live each time they came on.
Oh.
For a song early in the morning, I assume they just got out of bed and played it for the crowd.
Yeah.
What?
Number two.
What a
like
stupid thing to think. What a dumb
You
kid.
have to remember when you were a kid, like not being, the world was not explained to you.
I thought that. I did not remember ever thinking that the band was playing inside the radio live for me. That's interesting.
I remember this one. Remember, I grew up in a family, no alcohol ever. Like, my neighbors, my nanny didn't drink. Like, it was just, I never saw alcohol. And so when you were a kid and you see a don't drink and drive sign, you think it means like water, Kool-Aid, Gatorade, whatever it is you drink, it means all drinks. Don't drink and drive. Like, that's dangerous.
See, I grew up in a really drunk household, and so I was like, oh, okay. Like, I knew exactly what the rules were.
Number three is that cats are girls and dogs are boys. Number four is that if it was raining where I was, it was raining everywhere in the world.
Yeah, I remember thinking that.
The chocolate milk came from brown cows.
Common.
That if you ate watermelon seeds, a watermelon was surely to grow inside your
That was grandma's
that
fault.
was guaranteed to happen.
Yeah.
Or your ear.
There was always some uncle telling you.
Yeah.
That turning the inside car lights on was indeed illegal.
That was definitely something until
Really?
recently I thought was illegal.
Really?
Remember we talked about it maybe 2 years ago, 3 years ago or something? We're like, it's not actually illegal. We're like, oh.
No, it's just
I never
something
knew.
your parents would say to get you to turn the light off.
Right.
That a sign saying vehicles will be towed at owner's expense meant the store owner, and that it was made to the sign was to make people feel guilty about parking there and causing somebody else to spend too much money.
That's actually a really good idea. I like that.
That's wholesome.
Yes.
That's very wholesome. That ripping off a tag on a mattress meant you were going to federal prison.
I used to think that.
Definitely
it does.
I mean, it said it on there.
Right.
Yeah. So what's the ruling on that? Oh, we got to talk.
It's in a store. If it's in a store and they're selling it, it has to have the tag. But if you're not going to resell it, you can cut her off and you're good to go. I believe.
You sure?
No.
You're not just creating criminals out there right now?
Well, yeah,
Like
maybe,
the
hopefully.
Mattress police. the
Pee
mini-
Wee's Big Adventure also reinforced that theory. When that guy's like, the tags on mattresses that say don't remove?
Okay.
I took them off. You don't want to get messed up with me.
I'm pretty sure I had a cousin that believed this one. My grandma told me that rumble strips on the side of the road were to help blind people maintain their lane.
Wow.
Huh.
All right, here we go.
I always heard that it was so truckers that they wouldn't fall asleep. Is that true?
I think so. I mean, yeah,
Really?
it's a rumble strip,
Yeah.
so you
I think that's
realize,
what it actually is.
Yeah, it's
It's for truck drivers specifically installed?
It's for
for
everybody.
everybody.
Yeah.
Oh.
But you just put it in cruise control, and when you hear that sound, you wake back up. And
you just start
gets
driving again.
realigned, and then you go back to sleep for a while, and then you hear the noise again. That's what I do. Here's the, it says, once you've purchased a pillow or a mattress, it's your right as the ultimate consumer to remove the tag.
All
Thank
right, it's my
God.
right.
Right.
It's my right.
Finally.
Number
Free.
11 is that a guy's junk has actual eggs, and when a man and women get together, one of them would, you transfer it, and that's how the baby's made.
See, we can't even. Now the men have the eggs. Like, do women get credit for literally? We have the eggs. We have the eggs.
I did not mean to upset you.
You guys have something else that happens.
Oh, my gosh. This should not be a surprise to anybody. And I'm going to ask you guys when your first time was for different things. A new research report found that young adults are taking longer to hit key milestones in their life, like first job, first apartment, first kid, all that kind of stuff. So here are a few milestones and how many of us hit them by the age of 21 these days compared to 1980. 5, I'm going to go backwards. 5 is first kid. 18% said they had their first kid by 21 back in 1980.
Oh, wow.
6% now.
Kid? Wow.
Kid. Rafe and I skewed.
Right.
The
How old were you when you had your first child?
17.
I was 9 years old.
You always got to one-up
No
me.
one knows how old I am. I always get emails be like, you sound way older on the radio. I'm like, yeah, I know, dude. I have a hard life. A lot of Marlboro Reds and whiskey went down this gullet back in the day. I was 19.
All right.
Also, to backtrack to the last thing, one weird thing before we get too deep into this, I literally thought for a long time you had to have sex standing up because the first sex I saw was in the movie Roadhouse, and everyone in that movie has sex standing up.
That's a good evidence.
Patrick
though.
Swayze has sex against the wall. It was hot. He's like picking her up, and I was like, oh, I guess that's how you do it. And then the other guy was standing up, got caught in the back room having stand-up sex, where he's like, I'm going to make you my Saturday night thing, baby. And I just remember, used to pause it. That was like the first time I was like, whoa, sex is crazy. And then I was for a long time, because I watched it at my friend's house way before you're supposed to watch
Right.
Anything like that?
anything like that.
Well,
and for a long time, I was like, I guess that's how you do it. I don't know why they're always laying around in bed.
That's why he had a kid at 19, because
Yeah.
you could do that anywhere.
Well, I was going to say,
That's right.
something
Stand
weird
up
that,
guy.
that I genuinely believed, to my core, there's video evidence of me. I genuinely believed Peter Pan was my brother.
Say what?
Yeah. I thought when I was a little kid, I was in a beauty pageant. My mom put me in an old King Cole beauty pageant in West Frankfort, Illinois, 4 years old.
Old King Cole.
They're doing the interview up there, and the little person inside of me genuinely believed that my brother was Peter Pan. And so this lady asked me, do you have any brothers or sisters? I said yes. And she goes, oh, what do you have? I said, Peter Pan. The crowd went wild. I'm like, why is everybody laughing at me? Because
True story.
It's true story. And after that experience, my
I like
parents had to
turtles.
sit me down. I'd be like, you're not Wendy or whatever the hell.
You
So-
are that kid.
Your peanut brother.
That's
Did you
cute.
win?
No, I didn't win.
Oh, well, you had the best answer.
I did have the best. And don't even get me started on this. This other
Was it
chick
rigged?
won. This, God love her. She had a prosthetic arm. I don't know if that's why she won or not. I'm not trying to put that out there. I'm not trying to put that out
Still
there.
salty.
6:47
Still salty,
a.m.
dude. How many
Controversy
years ago?
begins.
Wow.
I'm just saying.
boy.
I'm just saying.
Trick Ankiel.
Let me say this. I sang "Take Me Out to the Ball Game" with the Cardinals winning. The crowd went wild. Had the Peter Pan story, cute dress.
Peter Pan story. You had the Peter Pan belief.
Yeah.
You were
Anyway.
living a fantasy.
Peanut
I'm not
brother.
salty about it. That's just what happened. Back to you.
You didn't call her Captain Hook, did you?
No, I did not.
Okay, that's good.
Oh,
Thank you.
man.
Number
So
4
I'm
is
saying that could have hurt your chances if that's what happened.
So this might be real. He might actually be your brother.
I hope
Captain Hook
so.
beat you.
I'm like waiting for like Robin Williams' version of Peter Pan to like come swoop me up, take me to Neverland one day. Like that's my dream.
man. Number 4 is marriage. My first was 18 because, kid at 17,
Right.
Baptist. Here you go, kid. This is what you're supposed to do. So 18 for me. How old
I was
were
a
you?
little longer on that one.
And?
Yeah, I was 38.
38?
Yeah, 38.
I was 30.
Right?
I was never.
That's right. So you've also skewed it, and I skewed it
I
the other
skew
way.
both ends,
We've
dude.
canceled each other out. Marriage, 32% say that they were married by age 21 in 1980,
Wow.
compared to 6% now.
Yeah.
Dang.
First apartment. I'm going to skew every one of these numbers.
I feel like where I grew up, if you weren't married by like 21, you were defective.
Yeah, you're old.
Like it was so common.
Yeah, it was the old maid thing kind of for everybody.
Yeah, and I mean, there was a time, where survival was so dependent on that. Like coming out of the Great Depression, people were like, yeah, people were getting married when they were like 16 years old. You know what I mean? Like it was different times.
Right.
And then the world changed, but it was still, there was always like a holdover, especially I think in rural areas where we grew up, especially. I was like, I knew a lot of people married their high school sweetheart.
Oh, yeah.
That was not uncommon.
Yeah.
Or if not them, got married like their first or second year in college.
Yeah, I think my
too.
sister was like 19 or 20, right around then when she got married.
High school sweetheart?
No, but she knew him from childhood and all this stuff.
Oh, okay.
It was just a thing that like was expected of you earlier in life, and something's changed over the last 20 years. We're like, that's not even. I feel like the expectation of it from families has changed. I don't feel like there's like pressure for people to get married young anymore.
I remember like breaking up with my high school sweetheart and knowing like that was the right thing to do because I didn't want to marry him, and it was kind of
This hog?
yeah, it's kind of like you are going to the finish line in these small communities where if you're with that person when you graduate, there's a
Yeah.
good chance that you're getting an engagement ring like
yeah.
a month after graduation.
Yeah, man.
They went
And they're
to the-
going to lock it down.
Yeah. So imagine having that kind of like living through that and then having a kid.
Right.
Like it was like,
Dude, no.
We're getting married.
People that had children in their teen
And
years.
we're lovely friends now, by the way. Like,
Sure.
Like all is great, but like surely like we should not have been getting married at 18. Come on, man.
All my friends who had kids in high school, I have a couple of dear friends that had children like when they were around 17, 18 years old. And they are lifetimes ahead of me in their maturity and in their world that they have lived. Like I'm amazed because I don't have kids. I will not be having kids, and like I can only imagine what it's like to be a teenager having to grow up so fast to get it. If you're a responsible adult that's going to take care of that baby that you're having. So I feel you, and I'm just like amazed by your story, Moon, by becoming a dad so young and just all the success you've had in your life. It's incredible, man.
This one's going to be interesting because it is. Well, this is a bigger number. So, first apartment, they have 62% in 1980 had one by the age of 21 and 51% now. But I can't believe even that 51%.
Right.
There are so few people that I know in that category, 21 years of age, that are in their own apartment now, or even in their own living situation other than college, which I'm not counting here.
Right.
Maybe they are. But my first apartment, again, 17, baby.
Yeah,
Wow.
I remember that apartment.
Yeah, what about you guys?
I was really young too.
Let's see. That would have been.
I graduated high school at 17, and I was out. So,
Straight into an apartment of some sort?
yeah. I was trying to think of my first place I lived. But I left home. Like, I got out of high school when I was 17, so I was not even 18 when I rolled out. I guess it was. I don't know. I guess it was in Carbondale. I don't remember where I was living. I think I was just like paying a little bit of rent to like crash on someone's couch or something.
Yeah.
I don't think it was like I didn't like go get my own place. I moved in with like a friend who had a place. Like
Yeah.
a guy that graduated a couple years before me.
We rented like a basement apartment from a family member because we couldn't legally or maybe it was just like policy wise we couldn't get another place, and then we got a place at like 18. Something around there. The marriage certificate helped. Like, hey, man, yeah, we're
Check it
kids,
out.
but we're pretty serious about this whole thing.
Then I went and,
23, I think I was. First apartment.
oh, really?
With a guy. Moved in with my boyfriend at the time. That was interesting.
Dang.
Never lived by myself.
Never?
Always
Really?
always lived with a guy or a friend, like a boyfriend or a friend. Never had an apartment by myself, which I kind of regret. I wish I would have done that because
Yeah.
I think there's
is awesome.
you learn so much about yourself and you all you got, so kind of codependent that way, unfortunately.
Yeah. I would have been it was fresh out of high school as well. Like maybe a month after I graduated, I moved down to Springfield from Shelbina there and got an apartment. And then I had a roommate that year, and it was a year later or so we, left that contract and he went his separate way, and I got that townhouse, that 2-level townhouse that was awesome.
Oh, yeah.
And I was all by myself, and it was cheap, but it was incredible. It was a 2-story townhouse.
Real
That's
nice
awesome,
place for
It
a
was
kid to have.
incredible, man. I mean, it
was
was
a
kind of
real
Hooge
nice
area,
place.
but it was incredible. Yeah.
Number 2 is financial independence, where you're not relying on your parents anymore. Because I remember I owed my dad like $2,000 or something until I was, I don't know, 21 or something. I remember writing them the check because my dad is like a meticulous note taker. And I
Yeah.
remember one day I was like, hey, how much do I owe y'all from the last couple of years? And he said, well, let me
get the books
see my
out.
legal pad.
Right.
$2,100, 68. It was like in 68 cents. I mean, he knew exactly what it was. And I wrote the check, and it was the greatest feeling of my life. But I wasn't financially relying on them.
Right.
Past 17.
Did he cash it?
Oh man, I don't know. It was 25
No,
years
did
ago.
he cash the check?
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
I'm assuming he did. Yes. I owed it to him. What about you guys?
I was 23. I think when I moved out with my boyfriend, my mom was like, "Bye, get out of here. You're not on the payroll anymore." Graduated from college, and I was working 3 jobs at the time, and could support myself. But I love that because that is so different than what my sister is. My sister's in law school right now, very very much still relying on mom and dad to help make ends meet and get tuition paid and whatnot, and she hates that. But like. By 23, I was like, all right, I don't want to ask mom for any more money. So 23.
What's the specific question?
Financial independence, where you're not relying on your parents anymore.
Oh, 17.
Hopefully in a couple years.
I'm not saying they didn't like throw. I'm not saying like birthday or something. They didn't throw some money. In the
Yeah.
card.
No.
Like, as far as like
we're talking about like
paying-
they're not paying for your bills anymore.
No, 17.
Yeah. I plan on by 50,
Kidding
being
me?
done with that and just moving on.
Yeah, I was insuring another human
My
being.
dad was the cheapest person ever born in history. He's had a countdown to when he could stop paying for stuff.
42% of people back in 1981 were independent by the time they were 21. Only 25% now. And number 1 is a full-time job. Full-time job. 64% had one by age 21 in 1980, compared to just 39% now.
Wow.
I would say full-time job. Probably. I mean, as soon as high school was over, as soon as I could
Yeah.
have a full-time job. But I was one of those guys also that had. Because of the kid, and I was trying college, and I was doing these bands and all this kind of stuff, that I was the guy that had 4 part-time jobs.
Yep.
So there was a point there where I had 5 that overlapped briefly, but I remember for a consistent time there I had 4 part-time jobs that I was working. Putting together furniture,
Yep.
working Hot Topic, working for YMCA, working for all the municipalities, running their summer camps and different stuff, and driving a school bus at like 4 in the morning.
Yeah. I was, man, it would have been probably that first year or so. I got a full-time job, was in college full-time, and the same thing. I had 2 different bands, and all I cared about was trying to get enough money to buy more gear. And I didn't care about, I paid all the bills and stuff, but, like cable and all that, I didn't I don't know. That didn't matter. It was getting guitars.
Well,
I had the hodgepodge, I was a barista in town in Columbia, Illinois. I was working at Keishi part-time, and then I was working at the old Rock House part-time. And that all collectively made like one full-time job.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then I went full-time.
What'd you do at Old Rack House?
I was in their promotions department. Like I'd make their show posters
Love
and
that place.
do social media. Yeah, it was really cool. But yeah, like I think I went full-time finally at Keishi in 2010, like in the marketing department. And then I actually got fired from the old Rock House because everybody got cleaned out. And then I stopped being a barista, like just because I moved to St. Louis. And I loved being a barista though. Like the fact that I could like still to this day make one awesome latte for everybody in here, like whatever you want.
Really?
Oh yeah.
We'll go to break in a few minutes.
Yeah.
I will give you
Booyah.
a steamer.
Excuse me? We don't do that here.
I still got my foot out. For those of you wondering at home.
Oh, there it is. Plato.
Boss is out of town. Feet on the table.
I got some bread. Can you slice it for me?
My first job was a furniture delivery guy. No surprise there. Don't think I broke. Don't think anybody was like, yeah, he's probably a doctor.
Right. Aw.
Downs and Son Furniture. My friend in Elkville, Illinois. My friend's dad owned a furniture store, and that was my first gig. And then I went away because I did a semester. I graduated. I ended up going, and I went away to play college sports in January. It was weird. It took a semester. I had sent my tapes out to like coaches and stuff like that because I went to a small school and we were terrible. I was the best player on a really bad team. So I ended up like going away to school, and then I was an RA.
Oh my God, you would have been an amazing RA.
Well, it was short-lived.
Oh.
What's that again?
Resident advisor.
Resident advisor. So like part of my tuition was like I had a job, and it was cool because I got my own room. I didn't have a roommate.
That's
but
awesome.
I was in charge of all these guys on the floor, and it was on a Eureka College, and we had a dry campus.
Nice.
It was a Christian school whose mascot were the Red Devils. Don't ask me who
Wow.
came up with that. But Ronald Reagan went there, and they beat it to death. There's like the Ronald Reagan oak tree, the Ronald Reagan toilet bowl, the Ronald Reagan everything. They were just hoping for that, hoping they were going to get that money when Reagan finally
Right.
kicked it. But they treated Nancy poorly. Because they didn't believe in divorce, and she was a second wife, and she got control of the estate, and didn't go well for him. They gave the frat house, he was a teak, and they gave the frat house on campus like $1 million to build a new frat house, and then they left the college $300K. They had plans, dude. They had blueprints of all these things they were going to build with the millions of dollars Reagan left them, and Nancy was like, nope, I remember how you treated me. And I was like,
Wow.
dang, yeah, burnt.
Dang.
But anyway, we weren't supposed to have booze. And the dean, and I swear to God, I'm not making this up. His name was Dean Martin, which is hilarious.
Get out of here. That's so great.
It's great.
That's great.
Love the
He was
guy.
born for that.
Only
They're
if he
born
sang to you.
for it, dude. That's amore, baby. We had a party, and we had 3 kegs, and we had like a communal bathroom, and I had kegs in every shower on the floor I was on a dry campus, and he did a walkthrough, and he's like, what's going on up here? And I'm like, I tried to be like, whoa. What is going on up here? You're like, you're in a toga. Like, I feel like you knew. No, that's how I sleep. I was like caught so red-handed, dude. I was like standing on a coffee table drinking a beer in a toga, and then tried to play it off like I didn't know a party was going on the floor. And I got fired as a residential advisor within like 1 semester. But you know what? It was fine. I got another campus job, and everything was fine.
You ever had a job that you quit immediately? You walked in and you're like, oh, this is going to be great. And you go, oh, this is not what you told me it was going to be.
Yes.
What was that?
First job ever. I was 15. This is before I worked for Bellacino's and absolutely loved it. First job ever. There was a bar in town in Columbia that they needed cooks. And so I'm 15 years old. I don't know how to cook anything. They put me in the back, like in front of the burger maker, and I'm going, I don't know how to do anything. I was so upset. Like I wanted to know how to do everything, but I just didn't. I didn't have the life skills yet, and I had to quit that night. I was so upset, and I ended up washing like the dishes, which is where they should have put me originally. But they thought that, and I thought I could cook. Clearly had no idea how to make anything on that menu. I felt like such an idiot. But yes,
That's frightening.
It
Just
was.
jumping in there like that. I've told the story before. I worked at a department store, very large department chain, with a letter in the first name.
Oh.
I don't think it's around anymore. But I don't want to trash talk. And I did the whole thing. I worked there. I think my mother worked there just for like something to do during
Does it
the
rhyme
summers.
with H.G. Tenney?
No.
Okay.
No, just one letter. And it wasn't, it rhymes with K.
was it Kmart?
Yeah.
So anyways, I think my mom worked there like just for some summers, like making pretzels because she loved the little.
I forgot that,
she
yes.
loved the food court. She loved the pretzels in the food court there. So she was doing that in between school years. got me a job, and I was going to be a cashier. And I went through the whole thing. I went through the whole orientation. I talked to the gal. I'm back in the break room watching the videos. And I go up to the front to the cashier, and I just stretched my ear. And y'all know how much that hurts.
Oh, yeah.
With the taperer, I just stretched the ear hole, and I got zeros in, bro. I got my plugs.
That's hot.
And the guy was like, the guy was supposed to train me on the registry. Goes, hey, take that out. And I said, no. I asked Julie back there, and she said that I could keep it in. And he said, no, you have to take that out if you're up here. And I said, no. She specifically said it was okay. It's okay. I'm still bleeding over here. I just got this thing in. I can't take it out. It'll close up immediately. And he said, no, you absolutely have to take it out. And I was like, oh, I can't believe this. Took it out. I did like 2.5 hours of boop, 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 boop. The cashier. Right. I mean, how hard is it?
Your ears just shrinking back up.
It's just shrinking. I can feel it. My whole face, the whole left side of my face is throbbing because, the whole thing just still hurts.
Yeah.
And it was break time, so I went and I got a pretzel, and I took it to my car, and I took it to my house.
Yep.
And I stayed at my house.
Good for you.
That was it. I was like, I have to put this thing back in, and I put it back in, and it was so painful putting it back in the parking lot that I was like, I can't go back in there and take this back out.
Oh, man.
That was it. So there's nothing worse than being on day 10 of a new job and thinking this is a bad situation. Fortunately, some issues can be spotted before you accept the gig. People on social media are taking, they're talking about the red flags that they've noticed while looking for a job, and here are the highlights. So listen up. If you're taking this week, if you're jobless or you're looking for a new place, or you just started one, and this place uses the term rock star, ooh, red flag.
Yep.
Maybe you should back out. Fast-paced environment, the person explained. That usually means absolute chaos with nobody in charge. Red flag. Quote, salary to be discussed. Every single job I've gone for where the salary wasn't disclosed up front in the interview was severely underpaid. Number 4, urgently hiring multiple candidates. Number 5, unique challenges usually means constant train wreck. Red flag. Number 6, must have a bubbly personality. Probably means you're going to have to deal with a lot of angry stuff. A lot of angry people, a lot of angry something. I forget what show it is that's out there right now that has...
Or sexual harassment.
Oh, interesting.
I feel like I see that in a lot of bar jobs. A lot of...
bubbly personality?
Yeah.
What's the show? There's a show out right now where there's like a gal in HR, like in the basement or something, and she's like the most bubbly... I mean, it's like a over-dramatic character. Oh, I have to think. It wasn't Severance, but there's a show that explores that exact sort of thing with a position. Quote, entry-level position required 3 to 5 years of experience.
Uh-huh.
Number 8, being told in an interview that they're not looking for people who only come to work for a paycheck because we're a team.
Oh, gosh.
Number 9, extremely short or empty job descriptions.
Go out of business.
Quote, you'll wear a lot of hats. And number 10, being hired on the spot may seem exciting, but it can be a red flag. If you're essentially hired in the first few minutes they speak to you, that could be a sign of high turnover or worse.
These sound like everything I've ever applied for, basically. Like whenever you're trying to find your career and all that, and you're like, sweet, an opportunity.
Right.
I can go get that one.
But you know what? I've had a couple of those that were cool. I've had a couple of getting hired off the street.
That worked out okay?
That worked out great. Where I just came in and said, hey, I need a job. I'll work hard for you. And I'll show up and I'll do my job. And I need to support myself. And I've had people like, all right, we'll give you a shot. That's how I started at my... I started washing dishes at the restaurant I ended up managing and being a bartender and had a good career, made lots of friends, had lots of money, had good experience. So sometimes
it works out.
Sometimes it could just be like if you're giving off a vibe, it could be, I feel like that's 50-50, that last one. Because I feel like if you come in, I feel like they don't do that anymore. Like the days of coming in off the street and asking for an application.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, do people do that?
I don't even think people keep applications in the building
because everything's online. Like all the applications are online usually.
Right. So the days of like having to...
Oh, man.
Because that was a weird experience, dude, to like walk in off the street and be like, hey, I'm looking for a job. Do you have any applications?
And they have a particular face, like the cashier when they're looking at you and they see you standing in line with nothing in your hand.
Yeah.
They know you're coming up to go, hey. Are you hiring? Do you have a job application? And I remember I'd go all throughout the block and put 15 of those things in.
Yeah.
And then have to go home and like write which places I did. And then think, okay, on Tuesday, I need to call all these people back.
Right.
Because I want to be the guy that's calling and saying, I want to sell your shoes.
Right.
There was a time where Video Joey was in between jobs. I think he'd gotten fired or something, and he's feeling down. So Mark, the bass player, Greek, and I, we went to, and Lauren, we went to the Galleria and got probably like 30 applications from all these stores, and we gave it to him in a nice gift box to make him feel happy. Be like, look at all these jobs out there, buddy.
I'm sure that was lovely.
Oh, it was great for him.
He knows he has good friends. Hey, listen, if you're looking for a job out there, good luck.